Hey traders, checking in on the markets today. We started with a lot of fear out there in the first hour of trading with a big flush down into some extreme RSI levels, but the bulls showed up and saved the day with some very impressive bounces. We'll see who led the way on the bounces. We'll see who was left in the dust, and we'll go over a couple trade reviews on these bounce plays. One went well, one did not go well. So starting off with SPY, backburner trades were out there. And again, backburner, first hourly oversold conditions coming from all-time highs. And even if you don't like trading bounce plays, watch how the market responds to those conditions because it gives you a lot of information. And the information we got today was the bulls are still very aggressively buying dips in this market, and they're keeping the bulls in complete control by doing so. It's very notable to me when first hourly oversold conditions after a significant bull run result in a weak hourly bounce and a lower low. That tells me a market shift is underway. That didn't happen today. So SPY started the morning with a lot of downside, and you can see we just dropped 5-minute oversold, lower high, lower low, and SPY wasn't that bad looking at it now. We leveled out, and then the bulls kept control the entire rest of the day. Once the 5-minute trend changed bullish, we did not lose the 5-minute uptrend, and we did not lose 5-minute EMA 12 support for the rest of the day. It was very convincing. There were no fake outs. Once the bulls changed the trend, they kept it. So SPY had a drop. Hourly RSI oversold for the first time coming off the all-time high, V-shape to a new all-time high, and that's just keeping these bulls extremely strong right off daily EMA 12. QQQ is where the weakness was. QQQ's hourly RSI got real beat up. It dropped down right to 20, and the 5-minute RSI was down into the teens, and I must admit, this had me cautious. I was looking at this, and the things that had me cautious were, number one, QQQ is getting really extreme, these RSI levels. But number two, it's happening, and the inverse relationship between XLF and QQQ was faded and gone for a good part of today. They were trading directly correlated to each other more today than I can recall in the last few weeks. So for me, that's just a flashing red light that says things are different. That correlation is more different than you've seen in a while. Be a little bit more cautious. So I did not aggressively buy the QQQ dip like I aggressively buy many backburner oversold bounces, and in the end, my mistake was leaving profit on the table, but the relationship between XLF and QQQ was different enough for me to put on the brakes a little bit. But we had a big drop. The 5-minute volume climax occurred. That marked the low of the day, weak bounce attempt. We held the low of the day, tightening range, and then right there at 11:30 was the first time we changed the 5-minute trend bullish. And just like SPY, once we changed that 5-minute trend bullish, we kept it the entire rest of the day for a V-shaped bounce right back towards the all-time high. Technically speaking, we broke key support of 364.30 on the daily V-shaped bounce. What does that mean? Zoom out and look for a bull flag. It's a potential weekly bull flag at this point. And likewise, remember the healthcare sector? Daily lower high and lower low, zero follow through. Zoom out and look for a bull flag. Very tiny weekly bull flag right back to an all-time high. XLV leading the way in this market. This market is just extremely impressive with its bull strength and its rotational game. But today started with fear, and it's what I call being sucker punched. The bears sucker punched the bulls first thing, and the bulls were ready to fight, and they won. They won the day in a big way. So healthcare at no point was weak, but XLF and QQQ were both weak this morning. Briefly. IWM. So IWM on the daily chart has lost the daily higher lows, which means our weekly lower high is set. If the bulls are going to resume full control in IWM, they need to hold the low of 209.05 and break 225.21 bullish for a weekly higher low and higher high. And that would also be a potential monthly bull flag. A confirmed weekly downtrend. Well, it wasn't a confirmed weekly downtrend, but we broke weekly support with no follow through. And if the bulls can regain the trend change in their favor, it's a possible monthly bull flag. So again, I'm cautious SPY up at these levels on the monthly, but I'm not fighting these bulls because they just keep proving it. And today was a big prove it day. The financial sector, consolidation underway on the daily time frame. And again, backburner, first hourly oversold. So first hourly oversold conditions, right above daily EMA 12, and bulls are hoping that 37.99 is our daily high or low. We will have to confirm hourly trend changes on all these V-shaped bounces tomorrow. So whether it's QQQ or Amazon or whoever it's going to be, we have to hold the low. Once this bounce tops out, hold the low of today and then break that high to confirm the hourly trend change. And if XLF does that, our daily high or low will be set. Growth names are still weak. The QQQ bounce today was led by big tech. Look at Apple. Apple broke the all-time high, straight into a multiple percent pullback, straight into a new all-time high. Very unusual to see that happen all in the same day. But blue sky breakout, and we know the most important stock in the market with the tech sector and the weighting that Apple has in the tech sector, if it's going to be moving through all-time highs, it's going to keep these market bulls very content. So it's certainly notable that this sideways range on Apple has broken bull, and we're back at all-time highs. Growth names did not benefit today. They had a bearish week last week, and they were bearish again today. This is TAN, the solar sector, and here's the 5 days of last week. 1 green, and then 4 days controlled by the bears, and further weakness today. And you can see the bounce. You know, we correlated with QQQ on some of these names, not really on TAN, but if we look at XBI, did we correlate at all? So there's that bounce. Same bounce at the same time as QQQ, just way weaker and closed down at the lows. So we got the biotech sector testing the lows. We got NIO with bearish news. Growth name, just a dump the last 5 days. Tesla, bull break Friday, completely erased. It had some bearish news as well. ARKK, big drop the last 5 days. So growth is in control of the bears in the short term. We're going to be scouting growth to bounce this week, but we're just going to be looking for daily lower highs. So big tech bulls and growth bears. Remember last week, we had that back and forth. We went green, red, green, red. Who's winning here? Which way are we going? Bears win as far as growth is concerned. So that's important to be paying attention to, that relationship. Big tech bulls, growth bears for the time being. Gold. Bounce continues. The 4-hour uptrend is our guide. When we lose the 4-hour uptrend, our top of the bounce is set, and there's tons of space for a daily high or low. So 1770 is now key support. And when it's lost, we zoom out, and we'll watch for a daily high or low with lots of space, and the bulls will have to confirm a daily trend change if we're going to see the monthly double bottom have conviction. And I will be looking for a re-entry. Definitely sold prematurely on the bounce. Not too far ago, less than 2%, but I'm going to be scouting an entry back on a daily high or low because the bulls have proven it to me now on this bounce. I'm not really interested in silver. Silver's a lot weaker still, but I am interested in gold. So keeping an eye out for an entry there. We've got oil with a drop down and held support, a V-shaped bounce there as well. Bulls have to confirm an hourly trend change, but if they do, that's a convincing hold of the 65s yet again. It'll be a triple bottom in the 65s, and key daily resistance will be 69.62, and the bulls have to break 69.62 for a weekly higher low to be set and for a continued weekly equilibrium. So defense, buying off support, hourly oversold conditions, and again a V-shaped bounce like what the broader market saw. So YouTube doesn't like our long videos. We're being punished for putting out videos where we're covering everything and going in depth in the trade review. So going to make the videos a bit more concise and be putting out more videos a bit more organized. But on a daily basis, I'm going to be covering SPY and QQQ and our major sectors, but I'm going to be shuffling around a little bit as far as what's standing out to me and just honing in a little bit more and zooming in a little bit more. So I'm not going to be covering natural gas every day, and I'm not going to be covering the VIX every day unless something is standing out to me. So what I'm looking at for tomorrow is all depends on how we open. So if QQQ opens higher, and this is why I don't do a lot of my prep in the afternoon, I do it pre-market. Because if QQQ opens tomorrow at 370, I'm scouting a bearish day trade for hourly consolidation if it gaps up. And if it opens lower, I'm scouting oversold conditions on the 5 and 15 minute time frame, scouting for an hourly higher low, anything above the low of yesterday. So again, any planning that I do tonight can completely be erased based on which of those two things are setting up tomorrow. So that's why I prefer to wake up early and put in my preparation time pre-market, because I have a lot more information. So I will be watching for one of those two trades, depending on how we are set up pre-market. The trades that I took today, XLF oversold bounce, I was looking at the back burner, but what had me interested, I knew the hourly was oversold. I know we're scouting a daily high or low, so okay, I'm interested. But then you show me the 5-minute RSI being down in the teens. I say, okay, I'm really interested, because again, my oversold bounces, I love it when we are as overextended on as many time frames as possible with just an all-out flush. And the 5-minute time frame on XLF was showing me that today. So on XLF, I entered, I said, I want a $38 break, and I'm going to enter. And I waited, and it looked like it wasn't going to happen. And then it broke 38. I made an entry. I got filled in the low 38s, and then it just putted around for a while. And I didn't like this bull break with no follow through, because the high of an initial bounce was 38.13, and we broke it by 1 penny, and then we pulled back towards the low of the day, and we only held the low of the day by 3 pennies at that point. So as soon as we had that little double top, I did exit half of my position to be a bit more cautious. And at that point, my break even was probably $37.99, right around there, because I sold half a little bit above where I bought in. And I just stuck my stop under $37.99 and let it play out. And fortunately, we had a very strong V-shaped bounce, and I sold it in the 38.30s from there and just locked in that oversold bounce trade. And that was a nice little winner. But then I had a loser on Tesla trying to play the oversold bounce. And my mistake here was focusing on Tesla, which is a growth name, rather than focusing on big tech. And some days it's just a coin flip. I mean, I guess I could have looked back in hindsight and said, well, all last week, growth was weak, so I'm going to assume that growth's going to continue to stay weak. But I was looking at Tesla at some extreme RSI levels, and I'm very comfortable trading Tesla, more so than most big tech names. If I was going to trade big tech, I would probably just trade QQQ, which would have gone well. But I scaled into Tesla. First entry was about 686, a little early. Second entry, I said I'm going to enter a second position if 682 breaks. And so I entered 2 positions. And we then started trading sideways, and bulls struggled with a bounce, and it looked like a 5-minute bear flag. And at this point, I'm watching QQQ and Tesla at the same time on 2 screens and watching the correlation between the two as QQQ was struggling to bounce at the same time. And I put my stop initially under 680, and then I said, you know, I don't like my stop under that level, because normally I'd be looking to buy a psychological break of 680 in that situation. So I dropped my stop under 679. I gave an extra $1 of wiggle room because I did not want to stop out at the bottom. And then we saw a weak bounce attempt. There was a potential 5-minute bear flag. I exited half of my position, not liking this bounce, and the 5-minute RSI was cooling off with no bounce follow through. So at that point, my average is about 684s, and I exited half about 684, and then I stopped out on this flush under the low of the day. And I don't want to stop out there at all, because the hourly RSI is crushed and the 15-minute RSI is still crushed, but it's the kind of scenario where I have to stick to some kind of game plan, because there will be a once every few month day where, you know, if this was the day where we saw fear and all of our sectors dropped at the same time, and I'm already in this trade, and next thing you know, the hourly RSI is down at 15, that can happen. It's not likely to happen, but I have to protect against that. So I did end up with a small loss on Tesla. My day was pretty much uneventful. You know, I was pretty much break even on the day. And it's interesting because my selling half a position on my financial sector bounce, I left profit on the table. But by selling half my position on the Tesla bounce, I protected against a more sizable loss. So in one instance, the sell partial helped me, and in the other instance, it hurt me. And again, that's just my conservative trading style, where the mistakes will be leaving money on the table more than losing by breaking those positions up and using the short-term time frames to dictate scaling in and out of them. So uneventful day for me overall. Definitely impressed yet again with this QQQ V-shaped bounce and setting up to be watching for hourly higher lows. And another thing, I've got a big old rainstorm coming, so I know I'm trading less this week, because it's about to rain for 36 hours. There's going to be flooding. I'm dealing with clogged gutters. I'm dealing with a creek that's overflowing. I'm dealing with runoff. So I did a live Q&A over the weekend on Sunday, yesterday, and that's on our YouTube. But I talk a lot about how routine and habit are really important for traders. And this is just a prime example where I already know I'm going to be scaling back and trading less this week because it's going to be an unusual week and my mind is going to be elsewhere and I'm going to be doing other things throughout the day that are going to be a bit distracting. So I hope you had a good day out there. Those hourly backburners, powerful for the bulls still. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Don't forget to do good things, and we'll see you tomorrow.